Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Tripcap CDL podcast. We talk about pretty much everything in between around except for the league. I should do that again, sorry mate, I got all excited. Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome to the Tripcap, the CDL podcast that talks about everything in between around and the league, except sometimes we don't really talk about the league. Can you hear me all right? Alright, third time's a charm. Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome to the Trip-Cap, the CDL podcast. We talk about everything including life, games, fun, fanfare around the CDL league, and we get ready to roll into one. Mate, I can't. Cut.
No, we won't back down, gonna fight till the end. Our honor comes first every time. Gonna stand up straight with our hand on our heart. Gonna right every wrong that we find.
Hello and welcome to the Trip-Cap, the CDL podcast. We talk about everything in and around the COD League. My name is Miles Ross and I will be your host. Joining me is going to be Benson and Momo, as it was last week and the week before, and it will probably be until the day we all die. Gentlemen, how you doing, boys?
I'm okay. We had our first week of CDL games. Obviously, new format, completely online. Production moved online. It was good. I think it went well. There's definitely some room for improvement, but the biggest thing for me is I need quarantine to end, boys. I need it to end so soon. So before we went into quarantine, I was due a haircut. Okay? It was about that time. Then, of course, we go into quarantine. I'm now wearing a beanie outside because my hair is that crazy. Like, the amount of pictures from this weekend of me looking like the alien in the sky. It's ridiculous, bro. It's ridiculous. Both Nameless and Maven both went at me on social media. I'm going to wear a hat now for... quarantine's over. I'm wearing a hat.
Take it off.
No, it is... Phil, you don't understand. Like... Genuinely. This is the longest my hair has ever been. Okay,
I'm crying.
And
Wow.
It's a concern. It's a concern because, like, if I like, no.
And I'm doing fine, Miles. When I was going into quarantine, I was like, you know what? I probably should get a haircut. So I got a haircut, and here I am. I am starting to need one, but in all honesty, yeah, the first weekend went by. It was good, much like Ben said. You know, lots to improve on, but honestly, it's our first step into this online world, I guess, and excited to see what will bring, you know, going forward, Chicago, etc., etc.
Yeah, but it's been good, more than anything, to be back. Extremely exciting to get the games back underway. And it wasn't without its technical issues and whatnot, but we expected a lot of that. I mean, this is the largest scale online league and production I think anyone has ever run, so it was bound to have a couple of hiccups, but those hiccups produce some really, really fun results, which we'll look at a little bit later on in the show. But I wanted to dive into our first segment, boys, the topic of the week, or what is the biggest story we've got going on right now. Of course, the Florida Mutineers won the Dallas home series online, but what's the biggest story? Is it the fact that Florida won, or is it the fact that Dallas and Chicago both sort of flamed out there in the tournament? Ben, we'll start with you, mate.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I think they kind of go hand in hand, right? I mean, you look at Florida, they've beaten Huntsman twice now, which is bizarre. I don't think many people would have thought that would be the case. Obviously, we look at past weekend, moving to an online format. We expected maybe a couple of results to come through. That maybe curveballs unexpected, but that's always the case, whether it's online or offline. You expect those upsets to happen. But I guess, I think it's fair to say I'm pretty disappointed with how Dallas and Huntsman have performed. I honestly thought that it would be one of those types of grand finals where we all get super excited. It's like the return of the CDL. We're kicking things off with, you know, a final that I know all the fans wanted. That wasn't the case. We had some fantastic games, the Florida coming out and having great success, which I guess this is right. That's a hard one to answer, Miles. I'm going to be honest. Because it's a bit of both.
It is a bit of both. And also when you think of like Florida being the only team to hand out losses to Chicago, Chicago's two series losses are both to them. Which is
I think that's what I was kind of focusing on when I was looking. I wanted to be more like, let's focus on Florida because they're the winners. We should be celebrating rather than looking at, you know, a team that didn't make it. I do agree with Ben. I think it's definitely something which you wanted, that certain final. But when it was that final, we obviously, you know, all three of us actually got to cast the semi-final. We were sat there watching the final. But for me anyway, it was like, this is quite refreshing seeing these two new teams, knowing that someone was going to win who hadn't won before. You know, last year, in the year before that, we had Silver Surfers on the likes of Gen G, for example, Havoc. He'd been waiting to kind of win, and it was just exciting to see kind of new names at the top for a second. Certain individuals performing over the week, and it wasn't your typical. It was your Scump, your Crim, it was different names, and I just enjoyed that, and I think it will, of course, be interesting going forward. But Florida and Rocker, I would have been happy any one of those winning.
It's going to be cool to see if Florida can actually repeat the performance they had here in the Dallas home series at the Chicago home series. I mean, it's not like too much changes, I think, online. But if for them to go back to back would be incredible. That'd be a really stunning turn. And I'd love to learn more about what the team have done to change themselves to get to this point, because they weren't a bad team by any stretch of the imagination. But to take down Chicago and Rocker in the same tournament where they lost to Toronto is an interesting one for me.
It doesn't make sense to me either. And Phil, you have every right to, when we get to for shame later, you can for shame me for obviously contesting the point where we were talking a little bit about Florida. And I said, there's no way they get better without Prestinni, right? They beat Chicago Huntsman with Prestinni. I'm thinking, all right, that's right. This Florida team. They make a team change, well, they beat them again, right? And it's not like if you're a Chicago fan, you can say, well, this was online. Doesn't matter. They beat them online as well, right? Like they're consistently beating them. As Miles, as you pointed out, their 2 losses are kind of the Florida Mutineers.
Yeah, dude, so it's huge.
So for me, it's like I look at this Florida team and I'm like, I don't know what to expect, right? Like I did power rankings this past weekend, as I know you guys did, and I'm sat and I'm looking at it. And I'm like, well, where do I put them, right? Because I still, yes, they won a weekend. I still don't have them as like a top 4 team. Right. That's like a weird thing to say, but they're so inconsistent, right? Until they find that consistency, it's hard. It's so hard for me to say, yes, you're a top 4 team. And bear in mind, they beat Huntsman and they beat Minnesota Rocker, who are top 4 teams. So for me, I have them 5th overall. I'm not sure where you guys put them in your power rankings, but it's like I need more.
I think you need, you need consistency. And that's what I think we got from Rocker over the first 2 months of the CDL was before we started putting them in our top 4, we saw them consistently doing what they were doing and going, they are the real deal. We've seen Florida now obviously come second with Prestinni, then make a change, so we didn't want to chuck them in again. But if they can continue this, maybe they knock a top 4 team out of that top 4 and maybe take that spot. But again, I think they need a repeat. I think they need maybe another I think they certainly need a top 4 finish in the next one in Chicago. But if they can get to a grand final again, I think that's when you really start to say, okay, who are these guys knocking out of the top 4? Because if they do back to back to back,
right? That's the who knocks out of the top 4? Because
good question.
For example, they've been in a couple finals as well, so it's not like you can say, oh well, they're the team that are faltering. I mean, not really. Then you're looking at one of the big 3.
I know, and it's kind of weird to say that. I think what I am really excited about is seeing FaZe play again. They're, for me, my favorite team to watch, I think, just because their excitement and what they can do to other teams. But them having a break, Dallas obviously not performing what they wanted to, Huntsman. It is kind of weird to not think of any of those 3 not in the top 4, but it could happen. It really could. If Dallas or Huntsman have another, a semi-final finish or even less, if they don't make a semi-final, then you got to start to question it. But who knows? Maybe they're all back. It's all back to normal when we go to Chicago and Florida are 7th or 8th or 6th, whatever it may be.
Yeah, it's so cool to say this now. We touched upon this at the very, very beginning of the league. We were always worried, is there going to be like a dud team in the league? Is there always going to be some competition? And for the first time ever, there is genuine competition amongst a very, very solid chunk of the league. The only team right now who I think are struggling is the LA Gorillas. And then even then, they're growing so much at this point in time. I'm hoping to see them grow more. But apart from that, we have a pretty consistent league from top to bottom. Ben, it's probably the best it's ever been, Ben.
Seattle Surge would maybe beg to differ.
With New York Subliners, it's still dude, it's
New York in a little bit.
We haven't seen New York in a hot. We haven't seen
New
York in a hot minute.
to see New York. I actually am excited. That new roster and bit of a change. I want New York to fight for the respect. I feel like no one's respecting them. I feel like it's just an instant
points,
and which is completely understandable. And when we did the power rankings, I think I know where I put them. But I want them to battle back. I want to see a fight from them. I want them to start gain some CDL points.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Remember those articles we had to write at the very beginning of the year, like who do we think is going to be good at the end of the year? Who's going to be the biggest rising team? And all that stuff. I think my end of year team is either Seattle Surge or the New York Subliners, just based on who's on those rosters. So now I'm like, I'm either going to look like a genius or a moron at the end of the year. There's no middle ground between me there for those teams. Okay, boys, I think we've talked enough about the blowout here. I think for Florida, props to them. Can they keep this going? But for Dallas and Chicago, someone's fallen outside that top 4, man. And this is going to be a very, very interesting couple of weeks ahead when we get back into the swing of things in Chicago. Right, let's have a look at our next segment. It is going to be the clip of the week. And I think you'll all put it together, but there is a very, very common thread throughout all of our clips this week. Boys, I will start this one off. This obviously took place at the Dallas home series just last weekend online.
So this is that guy.
This is my clip.
The game, of course, has already started, like you outlined there, Miles. I was watching for.
Hey, I'm wearing the same sweater. Don't judge me, okay?
Technical difficulties means you're going to be filling. Yeah. Wait. Where are you going?
I didn't realize someone was on camera. Okay, so what happened there, right? You watch my eyebrows. I'm like, ooh. Like, what happened there was, so we're waiting for the match to start. We're waiting for the Search and Destroy to get ready. And basically the way my setup is, like, I'm standing up. You can see the board behind me, right? I'm standing there and I can see my monitor, the one right here, has the game feed on. So I can see when the players are going into the game. So when I saw Search and Destroy load up, I was like, ooh. And I just beelined it back to my chair to get ready to commentate again.
If you pause the video 11 seconds, Miles, the look of your face is golden. You're so excited. You're like, ooh. And it's worth mentioning, whenever as a casting you have like technical difficulties, you always have people tweeting, start the game, start the game, start the game. We have no control over that, right?
No,
so we're just as antsy as you guys. So as soon as you see the gameplay start, you see the map fly through load. Oh boy, you get so excited. You're like, we're done filling. We can just get straight into the game. And that face, Miles, your face at 11 seconds perfectly sums up as a caster your feeling when the game finally starts. Oh,
we want the games just as much as the fans do.
I'm just like, wait, hang on a second. I'm just speaking on my own. You just leave me to carry on. I mean, it wasn't the first time. I mean, that weekend Miles was dipping out and dipping in when he wanted to. I was solo casting. But Miles, a very funny clip. And honestly, sometimes we don't get to see that because it is delayed. Every now and again, I check my monitor and I look and I'm like, where is Miles? I can hear him, but I can't see him. And he just pops up. He likes to pop up and down from the camera. He's just playing like games with me. I'm trying to take this seriously over here, Miles. But the Joker inside you, we cannot contain.
No. If I were like a Call of Duty Modern Warfare like campaign extra, they've all got those funny call signs. Mine would be Joker.
I think I'm up next. With the clips of the week. Look at Skies.
Oh,
dude, it's
Cyclops.
Skies was doing this all weekend. He was chilling there, but we're talking not like 10 seconds, 2 minutes straight. This guy was just chilling. Now, I don't know what he's saying to his team at this point, but none of them are reacting. He's just chilling with his lights. He's vibing out, probably playing some music. Don't ask me where Decimate is. Oh, there he is. He's back. But yeah, some of these player cams. Just to pause that, because that's actually that's like the live broadcast for like 9 hours. We don't want to watch it all. But some of these player cams were amazing this weekend.
What I think I love about the player cams is like we all made the joke like when the first time we saw the Huntsman play and we brought up the player cams. Formal's cam doesn't work, so he's got like just his player portrait. We all made the joke like, well, look at the ice on Formal, man, he's so composed. Hasn't even like let it phase him that he just went like that negative or whatever. Like it was really funny. But the player cams have been interesting because it's like when you're in the event, when we watch the old player cams, everyone's really serious looking. They're all like, they're sat down. There's a lot of fist bumps. There's a lot of serious discussion between each other. But when everyone's at home, they're so different. Like, we're so much more relaxed. Like, even when the teams win games, they're sort of just like, okay, cool, good. Okay, good. We won that one. Even when Florida won the whole thing, they were just kind of like, nice, good. It wasn't like beating the chest or anything. It was so different. It's just a different experience, man. It was weird. But that was a fun clip, Phil. Very fun. Yes, moving swiftly on. Ben,
so, Miles, my theme is very similar to that of yours. Just to set the scene here, this is mid-series, okay? This is mid-map. I'm casting a Search and Destroy, so bear that in mind. We'll go on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh!
Oh, no, you're on camera, Ben. Put it down. Look how serious you are. You're like a boy who's been caught with his hand in the cookie jar.
So this
that only gets better.
It's my face. It's my face as it goes on. Now, for reference, right? We're mid cast, right? And the search and destroy is going on, and I have my kind of quote program feed to the left. What happened was the gameplay for production froze. So I'm not sure what the thinking was, but they just went, all right, straight to you. The way things are set up, obviously you guys won't know, there's like a 10-second delay essentially that production is dealing
with.
So I had no clue I was on camera. Right, I'm casting. I have gameplay. I have my gameplay feed. I go to take a sip of water. Chance picks it up, and I'm like, "Wait a minute. Why do I see myself to the left?" I instantly just put the water down, and I just gotta look at the camera. I'm like, "Yeah, okay." I ended up radio casting the whole round, which was funny, and then obviously production got the feedback. But I don't know why. There's something about the reaction there. It's
so
like
funny, man.
Me being caught with my hand in the cookie jar almost.
It really is. And the crazy thing is, it's not like you've done anything wrong. You're just having a drink. And if you would have continued normally, no one would have even questioned, like, oh, Ben's having a drink. What's going on? But it was like the moment you were like, uh-oh. Like you were caught there. It was seen, but your facial expression, it is funny. But
it's
from
fine.
player cams to caster cams, it's all going on.
Oh man, I mean, it's really funny. It's like while we are all still consummate professionals, when it comes to being in our own home, we clearly relax the tiniest bit, and those little moments are getting caught more and more. And I think we're going to see plenty of those in different forms throughout the course of the league while it's all online. But yeah, that was very, very fun, boys. I appreciate the clips and the fun. And Ben, it's okay to drink water on stream.
I know. I just had a sip. Actually,
it's okay. I'm gonna double down now. I'm gonna have some OJ right now just to make you feel okay.
I don't have any. I'm all alone.
You should probably hydrate. Stay hydrated, Phil. Okay, that is our clips of the week. So no doubt you watching at home have played MFK. Here in the COD League and here on the Trip-Cap, we're going to play a very, very different version of that called Carry, Duo, and Drop. Boys, I'm going to give you a brief overline of what the themes here, what the meaning behind Carry, Duo, and Drop is, and I'm going to give you some players to work with. You're going to make your choices based on that. So when we say carry, we're talking about someone who you want to spend a lot of time with. You want to like take care of their needs. You want to try and go out there and find as many kills as possible. You want to give them the armor plates. You want to do what you can and make sure they're all safe and sound. On Duo, that's what I'm talking about, like a very intimate little, you and me time between one other player, probably playing duos in Warzone, and it's just the two of you. Very special, very sweaty experience. For Drop, that's the player who you've just got to let go. That's the one who they've got to go. That's the kill part of the MFK. Let's be real. But okay, so I'm going to get straight into this one. I've got three players from various teams, and I'm going to begin with the first round. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Benson.
Yeah.
Carry, Duo, Drop. Pharaoh, GodRx, Illy.
Oh no.
I'll give you some time to think.
So carry straight off the rip, it's got to be GodRx, right? I want to play as many games as I possibly can with GodRx. He's a phenomenal talent. He's a top 5 player in the game right now. That's going to be my hard carry. Duo, Drop. I feel like I have to double down. I have to double down with what I said on contesting the point. Pharaoh's going to be the drop. I have to drop Pharaoh. I can't change my mind now, right? I can't go back on everything that I said on contesting the point. So Pharaoh's a drop. Duo's going to be Illy. Duo's going to be Illy. I feel like that would be a good duo too. I feel like he'd be a good duo partner.
He'd be a good partner. I'm with that. Phil, have you got any contention there? What would you pick for you?
I mean, if I'm picking the out of the same names, GodRx I think is right now one of the hot topics. He's the hard carry all day, and I think the consistency from him, I'm like, yeah, get me on GodRx's team. However, I think I'd like a little bit of duo time with Pharaoh. I'm gonna also double dip, and I'm gonna go. Pharaoh is. He's a talent, man. This kid is a talent, and I think he, with the right players around him, is amazing. So I'm going to switch it up from Benson a little bit. I'm going to duo with Pharaoh, and sadly, I'm going to have to drop Illy.
Sorry, mate. All right, well, I'm gonna duo with GodRx because I think we would get a ton of kills. I think the carry is going to...
he would get a ton of kills.
A ton. And my damage would be absolutely minimal. But the points I would have from buying UAVs and plates and stuff for him, massive. When it comes to the carry, I'm actually going to go with Ilya. I think we'd have a long and powerful career together. Pharaoh's getting dropped because he'd do fine on his own.
Oh,
he's pretty sweet right now.
Such a sweetheart, aren't you, Miles?
All right, let's go to round 2. Phil, I'll start you off here. Round 2. Carry duo drop. Envoy, Scump, Formal.
Oh my god.
How fun, Phil.
All right, carry. I feel is like longevity. Is the long one.
That's a serious relationship.
So I've got to go with Scump, a fellow redhead. It's Scump next. Okay, now who am I duoing with? I've got to duo with Formal. I have to, like, whether it's in game in competitive, whether it's in game in BR Warzone, whatever it may be. Formal is a beast. Envoy, I can't believe I'm saying this. I gotta drop Envoy. I don't know. There's gotta be some T2P in there, and there's no room for Envoy in T2P. I'm sorry. Envoy, you're out.
Ben,
that's hard. That is a hard one.
This is a hard one. It's a really hard one. Ben, what have you got?
So Phil's right? You look at longevity, you have Scump, who's you're going to be safe with in Call of Duty, players competed for 10 years. You have Formal, a player who's played multiple titles, right? Like, you want longevity? I'm picking Formal as my carry, bro. He's going to carry me in whatever game we play. It doesn't even matter what we're playing at that point. For duo, oh, God. Oh, this is hard. I'm picking Scump. I have to. He can just be my quick hard carry there in a duo. I mean, it's I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm dropping Envoy.
You both dropped Envoy.
Oh my god,
bro. When T2P's in the mix,
you got T2P.
I don't know. I don't care who the third is at that point.
That's fine. That's you. See, this is the difference between you boys and me, right? I came into the COD scene late. I came in halfway through Black Ops 3.
Right.
History's all good. That's fine. Well, that's important. I've seen what Scump and Formal have done together. I've seen what they've done apart. That changes nothing for me right now.
Go on. Carry on.
I'm gonna say that long-term hard carry for me, it is gonna be Formal for the same reasons that Ben chose. Multiple games. I want my man to be. He's gonna be stable. He's gonna be consistent across multiple titles. Whatever's coming out next, I know he's gonna be good at that one.
Miles is going to drop Scump.
Whoa! Yeah, you know I'm a big Envoy fan. Envoy's my duo, bro. He's my duo. I think he's amazing. I think he's an incredible player. He's come out of... He's turned his career around in a big way. He used to be, like a keyboarder back in the day. He didn't have a good rep. It wasn't looking good for him. Now he's on the Huntsman. Now he's picking up clip after clip. Everyone wants to have Envoy in the team. He's my duo right there. Scump's getting dropped. That's the way it is.
Sorry, Scump. Unlucky.
Sorry, Scump. You'll be fine. Mate, you'll be all right on your own. Don't worry. You'll be
There's
fine.
your article for the weekend. Miles Ross drops Scump.
Yeah, that's the title right there. It's like... Right. Final round.
Okay.
Phil, we'll start with you.
Okay.
Arcetes. Crim 6.
Oh.
Octane.
And Octane, did you say?
Octane. So Arcetes, Crim 6, Octane.
Oh my.
Carry, duo, drop.
That is a really tough one. It's the way you've got to think about it. Oh my goodness.
These are hard. These are really hard.
I think, like we all think, Octane is individually one of the best players. Like, it's just consistency. But right now,
I think his
team's not performing.
I think this is the easy.
But I have a real soft spot for Arcetes. Like, I could marry him, even though it's carry. I think I could marry him.
Okay. Okay.
Oh my. Okay, I'm duoing with Crim 6.
Steamy.
I'm going with carry, Arcetes, Ginger stick together. And I'm sorry, Sam LaRue. You're going to have to spend more time with Rich Campbell. You dropped.
Dropped. Ben.
I think this is the easiest one, bro. We're talking about the most successful Call of Duty player of all time.
I know, but like...
Successful. Like, he's one of, arguably, the GOAT, right?
All right, so
carry.
We're trying to equivocate carry with marry, right? So this
I could marry Arcetes.
But it's crazy.
He complains a fair bit, Phil. He complained the fact that we didn't pick him for any of those drafts. Last episode,
yeah.
He had a good whinge about that.
Sit there, Phil. Anyway.
Okay, I'll see you drop.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Does the sanctity of marriage mean nothing to you, man?
All right. For me, the carry is Grim. Has to be most successful player. Go simple. Keep it simple. And then for the kind of the same reason Phil said, as gingers, we stick together. Asties, you're my duo, mate. It has to be that way. I think he's a fantastic player. He's going to help me a ton. Probably learn a little bit from him as well. Drop. See you later, Octane, mate.
Octane's not getting the love.
There you go. I honestly, well, the problem is, Joey Nubsy, I'm going to call you out on Twitter. little Twitter fingers. Oh, I'm hearing us being talked about a lot. Yes, because you keep losing. I keep talking about you because you're not very good. What do you want us to talk about in the fill time when they throw the leaderboard graphic up? What am I going to say? Oh, yeah, great. Oh, yeah. Go Seattle Surge.
You're gonna be really soft about they could get more points, but they haven't.
Game 5, of course, that's the storyline. Of course, I'm gonna talk about it. What am I supposed to talk about?
Ben's lost it.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
It blows my mind that I see people tweet things like that. It blows my mind.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It is a tough. This is a tough one. All right, so Arsty's Crim 6 Octane carry duo drop. Okay, so my carry, my long term, I'm putting a ring on it. We're going to be running as a team for a long time. I have to go with Crim 6. There's absolutely no reason why you'd pick Crim 6.
I think I messed up.
You didn't mess up, Phil. You didn't mess up. It just is what it is.
I let my personal feelings come into this carry.
It probably should. In a weird way, it probably should. But okay, so I'm going to stick with Crim's going to be my carry. My duo, I'm really torn here because I do really like both Arsty's and Octane in a big way. And obviously, one of them has to get dropped here. So I'm just thinking about recent performances. I'm thinking about hype. I'm thinking about placements. I'm thinking about what I would look for in a teammate. And I'm actually going to go with Octane. I think, even though Octane and the Seattle Surge have been bottom feeding for a while now, and it ain't pretty, I still think the potential is there. I still think it's in there. I'm going all the way back to that article I wrote at the start of the year. I still believe Seattle, and I still believe in Octane. Arsty's has to get dropped. I'm so sorry, brother. I know he's going to tweet me. I know he's coming. I'm sorry, brother.
We should have all just said drop Arsty's instantly.
Yeah, that's what he gets for bad mouthing the show, or even he didn't really bad mouth the show. He watches it and he likes it, but
he's a fan. Yeah, he's a fan. I actually I spoke to Arsty's when I was calling out, I think Prestinni on another one. He was like, I see you, and I was like, I've upset him.
I love that the brothers.
He's sticking up for his bro.
I love that. I really do love that. Okay, that's it. That is carry duo drop. I hope you enjoyed that. We certainly did. Coming up after this, though, we have an interview with the Florida Mutineers general manager Ogre 2. Big fan personally right here. We get to talk to him about their big win there at the Dallas home series. We are now joined by one of the greatest console gamers in history. We are joined by the GM of the Florida Mutineers, is Tom Ryan Ogre 2. I'm fanboying just enough to keep myself together. Tom, welcome to the show, mate. Firstly, congratulations. It was a big win for the boys. It was huge.
Huge win for the boys. Obviously, I have high expectations for them, but that may have exceeded it even. I knew the team had the skill to win, but doing it already this season is pretty insane.
It was Miles, a bit of, I mean,
Miles. I have to stop you. I'm a little upset. In fact, I'm very upset. You introduced Ogre 2 as one of the greatest console players of all time.
It's a hot topic.
I'm literally bowing right now. The greatest console player in esports history. There is no argument about this. When we talk GOAT, we talk Ogre 2. And what's really interesting to me, well, yeah, I do what I can. What's interesting to me, though, is I want to know the story, right? The backstory. How does Ogre 2, right, the GOAT in console esports, get involved with the CDL team? How the hell does that happen?
Great question.
I can answer that.
I mean, I'll tell you what I can.
Sure.
I mean, I was doing some player management already for Team Reciprocity, is another esports org, and I was actually helping out with their Call of Duty team at the beginning of last year, and I got moved around a little bit and was helping with some other parts of the org as well. But so I'd already dabbled in Call of Duty. Obviously, you guys know I actually qualified for COD Champs.
You did.
Back in my day. Twice. For Ghosts and Black Ops 2. And then,
slip that in there.
But yeah, so I know a lot of the guys from the COD scene, and I know, a lot about building rosters.
Mm-hmm.
And our CEO, Ben Spoont, slid into my DMs, and he kind of just poached me for the position.
Damn, that's awesome.
And now I live in Florida, and here we are.
Well, it sounds so simple. It sounds so simple.
Right? You just made it sound so easy.
That move was not simple from Utah to Florida, so that was rough. But
nice. Obviously, I know you're enjoying yourself, and Miles has said it earlier on in the show, and I've said this in the past. I feel like I owe you an apology. I do. I have said specifically in the past that I don't think Florida Mutineers are a good team. I remember before Atlanta, I walked past you in the corridor. You said, "So you think our team is better now?" And I was like, "Nope." So I feel like this is me saying I'm sorry. I was wrong.
We've been underrated.
Have improved a ton.
Day one.
I think you have. And in a way, I think that may have actually been a good thing, though. Just to kind of not have that pressure, that public pressure of, these guys have to perform. These guys have to perform. Instead, you've kind of been in the shadows, and I mean, no one can really argue. You guys are a fantastic team, right? You just won a weekend. You've beaten the Huntsman twice, which is just bizarre to me. The only team to do it.
We are their kryptonite, I guess.
Yeah, apparently so. I mean, you guys look fantastic. So more credit to you, man. You've built a fantastic roster, and this is me publicly saying I'm an idiot and I was wrong.
Well, that's kind of like what I was going for with this roster. It really is a roster of underrated and overlooked players. Like, these guys weren't the first ones to get hit up by other teams, but obviously I did a lot of research, and we found a bunch of young talent that had a lot of potential. And I was kind of saying earlier how I knew they could win with the amount of potential that's on the team and how much skill is there, but even I wasn't necessarily expecting it to happen so fast. This is amazing.
I think that's where I was going to kind of direct the conversation. Was we're all kind of surprised. I say we as the talent, maybe the people watching, of the success of the Mutineers this weekend. Is it like as much of a surprise for yourself? Did you expect these guys to be pushing kind of grand finals and winning, for example, or was this kind of like a long term? You kind of answered it there yourself, but surely there has to be like a huge surprise of the impact of maybe one player or, the team now. These guys have just kind of came out of nowhere and really now looking at the leaderboards, they're up there with the best.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I was more surprised in Atlanta than I was here. Watching their scrims, I keep a close eye on that stuff. Obviously, we have a coach that handles scrims and is all about that, but I like to keep my nose on top of it as well, and just pay attention to how well they're doing. And basically, watching scrims the last 2 weeks, they've been such a better hardpoint team specifically. And even I think it was against Atlanta last week, is the week of the event. They split games with Atlanta, which I don't know if I've heard of another team doing that in months. So and we actually won the hardpoint map count. So that was pretty insane. And at that point, I was like, wow, I was expecting to do well this weekend, definitely make it out of pools this past weekend. But going all the way to the finals and winning it is still, you can never really expect that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I knew they would do well, and especially with Atlanta not being at this one, as soon as we made it out of pools, we got the draw against Huntsman again. I was like, man, they might go all the way. And then they did it.
Nice.
Brilliant stuff. Really, really good stuff. Before we get too deep into what's going on right now, I mean, Ogre 2, you've got a storied history in console esports. You're a champion across multiple titles. And you took a shot at COD, and you came close enough to going that far. Dude, what was it like building this roster from your experience, and what did you actually look for in this team? Because we touched on it a little bit a moment ago, but it's a bit of a ragtag bunch. You were quite literally the last team to be announced. What was going on in the process, in the selection process? You didn't just pick up like whoever was left. What was going on?
No, I mean, we were the last ones to announce, but we definitely weren't the last team to form. I don't know if that's a misconception, but we certainly were not the first team to form, but we were somewhere in the middle of the pack. But yeah, I mean, I was going for the guys that were not, getting those huge offers thrown at them right away, and the guys who were I knew had the ability to win. But it was just such an interesting process because you have guys like Frosty who like I know how good Frosty is.
Yeah.
And last year was his first year in Call of Duty and he was already doing very well and he's only going to get better. So grabbing someone like him, watching last year and seeing someone like Skies and how good he was, hearing about how good he was in tens with the top players, I was like, this kid's 20 years old. Statistically, he was like a top 3 player by the end of last year, and just so much potential. And those were 2 guys that, initially it was kind of hard to convince other people to want to team with them even. So they really are. It's a whole group of guys that were overlooked. You got Mox and Havoc who were in 2 finals last year, and I just kind of pieced it together of guys that I knew could make it to the finals or win tournaments, and a bunch of them. Obviously having good attitudes as well, I think goes a long way to just giving them the right tools to build off of to become a competitive team for the whole tournament.
Obviously, Miles, real quick, you obviously mentioned there, Miles, the Ogre 2's incredible history, right? We know it.
It's pretty good.
We lived and breathed it watching you compete. But weird question, do your players know it? Like, do they feel like you say you're watching their scrims? If I was on the Florida Mutineers and you were watching me play, I'd have a little bit of nerves about it, just because of like obviously who you are and what you have achieved in your career. Do your players know about it, or are they maybe too young to really understand just kind of who you are in a sense?
I mean, they definitely all know about it now. At least I know like Skies, when I first messaged him to have talks with him. He had no idea who I was, but obviously he like looked me up and stuff, and like they know. I know Brad knows the full history, but I know the other guys know most of. Yeah. They know I was like, they called me the GOAT and stuff like that. But I don't know. They definitely don't get nervous with me behind them. They're in game.
That's awesome.
They're top players. They're not thinking about anything like that when they're playing and they're in game. So I don't think it's affecting them in any way. But they know to an extent, at least, but you might have to ask them that.
You should pull out an old VOD session.
Right.
VOD review.
Cool. It's cool, though. I mean, you can't just rest on your accolades. You've got to get in the game with them and actually convince them, or at least demonstrate to them that you are a very viable leader and you know what you're talking about. And that comes with a bit of time and patience. That's fantastic, man. Is there anyone on the roster that reminds you of you as a competitor, whether it's your mindset or the way they play or their attitude? Is there anyone there?
Not specifically. No one like lines up completely with myself, but I definitely from time to time I always see like parts of me in them, like honestly like a lot of like the being nervous to do interviews and stuff like that. Like I have talks with them. I'm like, guys, you need to break out of your shell. You have to do interviews. You can't just like win a tournament and disappear into the night. Yeah. I've done that before, and that's not the right play. So
right. Get all the media attention when you can. That's definitely the play. But I feel like I have to ask you this, and I feel like you already know the question is going to come at some point. We can't bring you on a CDL podcast and not at least ask the question. Prestinni, of course, you guys look fantastic in Atlanta. You, as I mentioned before, you beat Huntsman. We saw kind of the toll it took on him just as a person. You beat your twin brother. I can't imagine what that is like at all. But I guess, when was the decision made? Did you needed to put him on the bench, and how was that decision made? I imagine this is a very sensitive topic, but I feel like I have to ask. I feel like the fans would want me to ask.
Yeah, let me try to think about how to word that. I think it's public knowledge already. He did essentially bench himself before Los Angeles. He didn't want to go to the event. He was having some personal issues and just needed some time off. Wasn't comfortable going to that event, so literally last minute, we signed Pharaoh to take his spot for that event. Team went in with no practice, still beat New York, which was kind of cool. Sorry, New York.
I love that. Just currently sat at the bottom of the leaderboard, just
10 points.
Carry on.
But yeah. So obviously after that event, it was a situation where he probably needed more time to himself. And then at the same time, we had to decide, in my opinion, we had to decide right after that Los Angeles event still who we're playing with, because they need to practice with them the next 2 or 3 weeks till the next event. I was like, I don't want to wait 3 weeks to decide and then switch up the roster right before another event. So we made the decision right after that event. So obviously not much time had passed, and it felt like the right decision after talking to all the players. They were definitely leaning towards competing with Pharaoh and grinding out some practice with him and seeing how it goes. So it's kind of a combination of things, but the decision was made right after the Los Angeles event to keep playing with Pharaoh.
Okay.
I mean, Pharaoh, it goes without saying that Pharaoh was a very, very worthy pickup. Was there much of a transition between the LA event and coming online for the squad, or was it just another day in the office?
Kind of just another day in the office, honestly.
Yeah.
I guess I was gonna say just off the back of that, it is kind of another day in the office. But when you're splitting maps online with FaZe, you're not questioning yourself, going, but can we do it online? I guess you're thinking now, this is just like a league game. It's kind of more important online now. So yeah, I was going to say, has kind of practice changed? So the guys seem to be taking it more seriously. Obviously, they've just won, which is great.
I think they've been taking it more seriously and been more hyped up just since they've had Pharaoh. Honestly, he's clicking mentally with this team. That attitude-wise, I feel like he's a very emotional player himself, and he's kind of like a hype man, which they didn't really have before. He really is just like, the kid is a grinder. He puts in so much effort every scrim, and it's just has elevated the entire team's effort level, and I feel like it's just been a breath of fresh air for them. And then obviously he's just insanely talented, so I can see why they wanted to keep playing with him as well. And he's incredible. Probably tournament MVP this last weekend, if not Skies. So hats off to Jay. He's a monster, and yeah, I think the team as a whole is just clicking really well right now.
Nice.
Right on. Any more questions, boys?
I guess the obvious one is, you've won an event now, right? You've done just so well throughout the season, and as you mentioned, obviously underdogs, right? Everyone kind of overlooked you. We as talent overlooked you. But how do you break now into that threshold of being a solidified top 2 team? What do you think Florida Mutineers need to do for the community, for everyone to realize, all right, no, these guys are the real deal? And then obviously come later in the year, we talk champs. That's when you become a contender for potentially even winning a ring.
Obviously, my personal opinion, I think most people think FaZe is still the best team. They weren't even here last weekend. So I think getting to another finals, maybe even beating FaZe in a tournament, would solidify us as a top 2 team in everyone's eyes. Obviously, we just won the tournament when they weren't there, so you could argue that we are a top 2 team right now. But I guess we just kind of have to wait to see. It's an interesting question because the format is so weird, where we don't have everyone at every tournament.
Yeah,
right.
So I feel like there's always going to be that argument, well, this team wasn't there, So it's tough to say, but you look at the standings. And you look at the teams that have made it to finals this year, and we've made it to 2 finals. We got a second and a first, and
pretty good record right there.
The top 5 teams have kind of separated from the pack right now, is what it looks like. So I think it's just consistency that's gonna turn everyone's heads and change their opinion.
Honestly, I love how you say the top 5 teams, because I've said for probably the past 2 weeks, I've been referring it to as the Big 4, right? That's how I've referred to everything.
Because you weren't counting
every
us.
Piece of content. Yeah, it's completely true. Was not counting the Florida Mutineers. But now I'm sat here and I'm scratching my head a little bit, because I'm like, all right, well, you try and work out your power rankings. And it's weird because you say, all right, well, they've beaten them, but then they beat this team, but then this team has beaten them.
It's a big old circle of
It's
defeats.
nuts. It's crazy. It's just like spaghetti everywhere. You can link every single team to beating every other team. So I must say, I think you're right there. I
don't think we can say yet. Yeah, there's no one can say right now, but recency bias, we're the best team.
Facts. These are the facts we have to work with.
Love that.
How do you break that circle? What are you doing as a GM or the coaches? Are there any secrets you can give to us, or even vague secrets as to how you break those circles and keep it consistent?
I mean, just keep them practicing. They're more motivated now than ever. I was trying to get them to line up some interviews this week, and they're like, sorry, Tom, we have scrims. Like, we got to do it early. I'm like, you're not taking any days. They took Monday off. And then
That's great.
Literally Tuesday. Literally Tuesday, they're telling me they have scrims. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, you guys, we don't play in the next tournament, so we have like a full month.
Yeah, you've got.
I was like, take 2 or 3 days off. But they're scrimming already. They're scrimming right now.
Awesome. Oh wow.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they've lit their own fire, and I can just sit back and chill, I think. So.
That's amazing.
Well, it's about time for Havoc and for Morks. It's about time, and they really deserved it after last year. Ogre 2, dude, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you so much for chatting. And
No
good
problem.
luck.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Now it is time for Shame, the segment of the show where we bring up something in the Call of Duty community that has really ground our gears, that has got us going, and we have a nice little whinge about it, and we get to use these bells. But not too much, because they're really, really loud. All right, Phil, let's start with you, mate. What's got your goat this week?
Just a little shake of the bell there, because let's be honest, they're very loud in these microphones. Okay, my clip of the week was the player cams, and amazingly we got to see some funny, hilarious moments for the likes of Skies and many more. My shame of the week is these players. I need to see every single one of them. I'm seeing pictures, I'm seeing JPEGs, I'm seeing people win tournaments, Pharaoh, and not have a webcam. I want to see the celebration. I love the player cams. They're one of my favorite things, whether we're at a tournament, whether we're online, just seeing the reactions, seeing the facial expressions. I think Havoc had a hilarious moment as well. And I hate the fact that we are missing out on some of that. And I know it was something we joked about online, but get a webcam, a camera, anything. We need to see it.
I agree, Phil. The passion and the connection we have with the player and seeing their success and love is so important.
Also,
totally
for
agree,
shame,
mate.
I wore the same sweater on broadcast as I am today.
Moron. Honestly, Ben, what is your for shame this week?
So I would ring the bell, but my puppy has just gone to sleep. So I'm not going to wake him up because, as you guys mentioned, these things are very, very loud. But
I'll do it for you.
thanks, Phil. You've got my dog.
Whitfield, you are a terrorist.
Literally just heard.
You heard that?
That's how loud he just. Anyway, moving on. For shame this week, I'm actually going at one of CDL's very own. Oh, looking at the backroom staff. No one's safe in For Shame. I'm going at one of our editors, if you will. Fantastic friend of mine, Andrew Vanette, looking at you. And you may be wondering, why? Why am I going at one of the backroom staff, one of the fantastic people that make the world of CDL spin? Well, yesterday we had a little meeting where we were talking a little bit about what was going on. And he said, and I quote, "For shame should be you guys. Your predictions have been shamefully bad. Shamefully bad? Shamefully bad." First of all, Vanette, okay? First of all, my predictions this season have been fantastic. I've been producing documents which have been, sending out to some of the newer production staff who maybe don't know Call of Duty as much. My predictions for each weekend. They've been pretty much spot on, first of all. So predictions behind the scenes have been almost flawless. So shamefully bad. And that's not even to talk about the predictions for everybody else. We've been pretty much spot on all season. Are you going to say shamefully bad? Hell no, for shame. Andrew Vanette, for shame. I see those little editing slips. Just you wait, Andrew. The next time I see one little mistake sneak into a piece of content, for shame again.
For shame, us, Ben. For shame, us. For week one, and we said, I think I said at least, can't remember about you two, that Florida would be the worst online team. For shame, us. For shame, us.
We did say that.
Yeah, I mean,
We said.
I choose and pick what I will re-show on the broadcast, but I will say there were snippets which I can clip together which make me sound like I'm a huge Florida fan. So yeah, speak for yourself, Miles.
Full of it, Whitfield. Full of it. We're all there laughing like,
F3.
Florida.
F3,
they're
F3,
on the other
F3.
side of the country. They're going to struggle so much. Get out of here, boys. That was a smacking. The For Shame is us. And our predictions, Ben, to counter what you just said. I don't want to hear about these imaginary behind-the-scenes production predictions. I don't want, they're perfect. Well, my stats are perfect behind the scenes. I provide them to the editorial staff, and it's all perfect. But when I'm up on the broadcast live, giving it this, my predictions aren't all that. For shame, all of us. We have a lot of growing and learning to do here when it comes to predictions on Tripcap. Now that that's out.
Feel like I got something off my chest.
I know. I was thinking, is there any final thoughts here, boys? You're only ranting and raving. Is there anything else you want to have a good old cry about this week?
Actually, yeah. You know what? What's interesting? I honestly might get in trouble for bringing this up. Who knows? We'll see. There's a conversation right now going around the community about, do we count online stuff as a win? Right? Does it count as a championship? I assume you both have seen the
Can't help it.
At the start of the year, there was the interesting debate of, well, do we even count the weeks anyway, right? Because not every single team is there, and then people, started to complain a little bit about that. Well, it's unfair if not every team is invited. Like, how can we count that as a championship? Well, in the past, invitationals only did count, right? Like, certain players have certain accolades attached to them where not every team was there. All right, fair enough. But then the transition to online happens, right? And I saw Maven tweeting about it. Obviously, he says, yes, they should. It's CDL's first season. Like, we have to count them. I don't know if we do. I kind of question that. Because his main debate was, well, we have to because it's the first season of CDL, right? We literally have to. I would go as far as to say, I think we count the ones which we had, right? The events. But I don't think we would count them until champs, right? Until the end of the year. I mean, fingers crossed. We get champs as an event. Hopefully, the brains behind the scenes, if you will, are planning and going through all that. I'm sure it's absolutely chaotic. Hopefully, we get back to events as quickly as possible. But it seems weird to me. It really does. Because the way I look at it is we've had eras, right? Phil, we've been in Call of Duty for such a long time. Pre-CWL, basically, right? You go all the way back to MW3. There's championships there that happen and players can claim them. Rightfully so. Then we transitioned to CWL, where things kind of stabilized a little bit. We went from kind of having so many different TOs, tournament operators. There was just one, and we settled down. There was maybe, 6, 7, 8 miles. That's kind of when you came in, the CWL era. And then, obviously, we move away from that. Now we have the CDL era, which is so vastly different, completely different than anything we've ever had. So for me, I just can't. I don't know how you guys feel about it, where you sit on the fence, but I see it as we have one giant league, and it's online. If we went back in time, like Call of Duty Ghosts, for example, online league there, if we started calculating all of those wins as championships, it gets very, very messy. Yes, it's a different format. Of course, it's different. But I just can't get on board with it. How do you guys feel?
Phil?
I completely understand, and I'm nodding my head so much at what Ben's saying, because I get it, and I think because we've been in it so long, because we go back to invitationals where there'll be 6 teams, and that will count. And I forgot who we were it might have been yourself actually, Ben. We were talking about, events where one American team would show up, that being Optic at the time, they would win it, and that would count for them. But, does that mean that the European only kind of tournaments where Americans didn't come to it's just so much kind of to and fro. But I also, when I was reading the likes of Maven's tweets kind of saying this is the inaugural season, this is something that we have to count, I was also nodding my head a little bit at that as well. And I just don't know where we go from here. It sucks so bad. And maybe this should have been the for shame. It just sucks so bad that we're in this situation. But to count it or not to count it, I just think, like, if we're not counting it, what are we doing? And then I think it's got to count for something. So I'm very much, as I always am, I can't really decide. I'm on the fence. One day I'm thinking, yes, it's got to be a championship because these guys are playing for, not only $50,000 or whatever it will be, but CDL points, what goes towards champs, but also, if not, then what is it kind of thing. So, it's so tough. And that's why I've not really commented on social media, honestly.
So I want to emphasize it. Like, I'm not saying that league games aren't important. I'm not saying league games aren't important. They're very important. I love the structure of the year. I'm just taking the side of the argument here where I just don't think that it could be a championship, right?
And I think it's good to look at both sides.
The big difference between a championship and winning a weekend, which is going to give you a ton of CDL points, which could then go on to win a world championship, right? Mm-hmm. To me, that's the difference. And one of the very interesting things right now is what's going on in the sports world, right? We look at what's happened with COVID-19 and just the effect it's had for any of the Europeans watching. I mean, take a look at the Premier League, right?
Yeah.
Does Liverpool just win the title if the season never returns? I mean, they basically already have.
Hell no.
I mean, me and Phil are big fans, but essentially they've already won the season.
Right.
They have. Do we just give it to them, or how does that end? Like, there's all different things. I know we had this meeting again yesterday. It was brought up about baseball. well, what happens with baseball? They just shorten the season. Well, does that still count? There's an asterisk, if you will.
Yeah.
I feel like no matter what is decided, it doesn't matter if, the community decides one way or the other, because it's not going to be an official decision. There's just no need for that. It's a community-driven decision. There's always going to be an asterisk. And it's not an asterisk because Activision did anything wrong or CDL did anything wrong, the players, the teams, none of that. Asterisks is we're literally in a global pandemic. Like, this doesn't happen.
This is unprecedented.
5 years, right?
This is unprecedented.
Thing.
But even when you look at this, the way we approached this before COVID-19 hit, you have to see this as you touched upon, Ben, a new era. We have to go, okay, there were the major tournament wins, there were the big CWL wins where like there was 128 teams or whatever, and everyone played through this great big open bracket. You made the pro solo bracket, and then you hit pools, whatever, That's a different format. I think you have to look at these wins as a whole new entity. Like it's a brand new chapter in COD. Yeah, everything that came before is great. Do you add the wins into a pile? Technically, yeah. But if you add the wins from, as you guys said, like an invitational tournament or some online forum tournament for $500 and a couple of headsets, if you add those wins, then you have to therefore add every single time you bested any other competitors in any other organized form of competition. You have to add all of them. I think you cannot pick and choose. You can't pick and choose this sort of thing. If it's a launch invitation, we counted Courage as one of the first people to win anything on World War II because he won at the launch invitation. That counts as a win. It's up on some website somewhere. Therefore, it's a win. Right? That we have to count them all, man. That's just the way I see it. I mean, this is coming from where we're at now and where we are potentially going to be for a while. A win is a win in an organized, structured tournament format. That's just the way it's got to be, man. I get the complexity surrounding the situation we're in, but from my perspective, that's the way it goes. When it comes to the championship rings, when we talk about like these the wins of the World's Championships, whatever it's like the CWL Championships or the upcoming, what we're going to be doing for champs here, that it counts as a whole different thing. That's like you're the tip of the top. Then like you got all these wins, but like that's a separate category altogether. But it's a tough question, boys. There's no doubt about it, and I'm enjoying the conversation back and forth online between pretty much everyone. I think everyone has something to say about this one. It's on Reddit. It's in streams. It's constantly going out across various podcasts. So that has been a lot of fun to talk about nonetheless. And you know what? I think this attitude is going to change. And when we look back in 10 years' time, we're going to feel very, very differently about all this again. COVID, baby. Change the world. Change the whole world. Boys, I think that's going to be it. I think is it about time to dip into my mailbag? I feel it may be. Yes, boys and girls and everything in between, it's now time for Miles's mailbag. I have got, I think, 3 questions. I'll give them to you boys, and we'll have some fun with this one. I think this one sounds good. All right, first question up. Is Florida a flash in the pan, or do you see the success carrying on for the rest of the season? Benson, this one I will give to you, mostly because I can hear you chuckling.
Dear me. Can I go with, it depends how long the online league stays online. Can I go with that? Depends how many weeks we're going to be online. Apparently they're pretty good online. I mean, they're a good team, but dude, let's be honest, right? I cannot see them having prolonged success. I just can't. I just cannot. With the other talent in the league, just no. Just no is my answer. I think they're about reaching the limit of where they're going to be, right? Maybe they win one more event. I would probably give them. They're not going to be a dynasty team by any means. I think that 4th, 5th is about their limit.
Interesting. Phil, what do you think?
I think it is an interesting talk. I think it's just so soon to even be asking that question. I don't know who asked it, but it's like, can it continue? I think if you ask me about Minnesota and what we've seen so far, I think, we've seen great stuff. They've just had one great weekend. And I don't think we're going to see a repeat of that every single weekend. And I don't see them getting to every single grand final, for example. But can I see them, climbing the power rankings a little bit and kind of jumping into our top 6s? Sure. But I don't see them consistently winning and getting to grand finals. I think they can improve and they can beat teams and kind of become a staple and become maybe a top 6 team. Top 4, maybe. But that's where I put them.
Okay, so I'm going to roll into the next question straight away, which is that Minnesota has made 2 finals in a row. It has former champs on the roster and looks to be one of the most consistent teams in the league. Yet they still seem to be flying under the radar. Why do you not think they're getting the respect that they deserve, Phil?
I'm going to say for me, they're not flying under the radar. They might be for other people, but I think Minnesota are firmly on my map. I know exactly where they are, and they're an awesome team. I also think that they just understand how to play this game. And I think whether it's down to the communication or chemistry, whatever it is with those 5 players plus coach, management, whatever it may be, they get it. And I think they've got a great work ethic. I love what they're doing as a brand as well. It just seems like Minnesota get it both in-game and out of game. They're not, for me, under the radar. I think they will consistently be pushing top 4 and grand finals, more grand finals to come, I think. So for me, that's where I stand with Minnesota. I think they are absolutely amazing, and they've got some great players on the squad. I think young, not limelight players, but ones which may turn into them.
But I agree with most of that. What do you think about that one?
I want to know whose radar are they flying under? Like,
they ain't gonna pull radar.
Right? You fix your radar, right? I mean, this is a top 4 team without question. You can argue now top 3 team. If you really want to push your argument, you might be able to say a top 2 team. They are fantastic. There's nothing more to be said other than that, Miles. I think if you don't see them as a top 4 team, or they're still flying under your radar, you're an idiot and you need to open your eyes.
I think the question for me then is, they're definitely a top 4, if not a top 2 team. Consistency shows. But now I'm getting this sinking feeling that may or may not get worse over the coming weeks. Does Minnesota have what it takes to win? That's the toughest question for me. I think they do. But can you imagine a situation where we're like halfway through we're almost halfway through the league, but we get like past that halfway point, and they've been in so many finals, they have loads of points, but they have yet to actually be able to crack that first place? That's a sort of, and that's the kind of thing that really plays on you mentally.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like, we have always managed to get to the finals. We're always considered a top Gen G, totally. You always get to those top positions, but when it actually comes down to it, you miss out by 10%. You miss out by 1 kill. You miss out by 20 seconds at hard point. Like, it's literally those little moments, man. And I think that Minnesota have yet to get the win for me. So as far as I see them, they're a brilliant team, but they're not necessarily like champs yet, and that's just an interesting situation to be in for me now as I think about this. Last question, boys. We are all waiting for the stay-at-home edict to be lifted, which has me thinking about the first day when we can all go outside again. How will you celebrate once we can see other humans again, and what is going to be your first order at the bar?
Easy. I am going straight to get my hair cut. Not even hesitating. Not like the first thing. Bang, straight out the door, haircut, gonna look fresh. And then what's my first drink at the bar?
Yeah, first drink at the bar.
Strawberry daiquiri, okay? You guys know me. I don't mess around when it comes to my beverages.
The sweetest of sweet tooths.
Absolutely. We're going fruity, okay? Comfortable saying strawberry daiquiri. And if you're judging me right now, you're typing away on your keyboard, strawberry daiquiri. You're jealous.
I see Ben.
Way forward.
Bet I can see you bowling into a bar with your nice new haircut. You're like, strawberry daiquiri, please.
Absolutely.
I will agree with Ben on both things in the fact that a haircut, I think, is a must for everyone. The strawberry daiquiri, don't sleep on it, by the way. And now you got all my sweet tooth tingling. I might go for a mango margarita, though. You know what I mean?
With you two.
I don't know where I will be for this drink if I'm going into a bar. Hopefully, I'm on the beach somewhere. But where will I be going first? I have been craving food. Food is, for me, like, key. My haircut can come after the food. I need, like, sushi, I need ramen, I need all the things that I don't get.
You can order that now.
I can order it, but like it ain't the same.
That's true.
It ain't the same.
No,
Plus,
it's not the same.
I also am a bit wary of ordering things. I'm just a bit weird like that. Ordering things, I don't know who touched it or where it's come from and what's been. I'm just saying, go in and getting like the food that you're craving at that time, rather than waiting an hour and a half for some delivery, whatever.
Who do you deliver with, mate?
Yeah, what?
Hour and a half?
I don't know.
Where do
Miles.
you live?
All right, okay. It's busy. It's busy times. A lot of people are ordering foods.
Okay. I think my first.
Took me an hour and 20 minutes to get some wings.
Dude, my first port of call. I don't think I'm gonna get a haircut. I'm gonna see how long I can let this fro go for. I'm just gonna keep growing, man. We'll see what it looks like towards the end. I think I'm aiming for Kurt Russell. That's what we're aiming for. You have to Google that one, kids. So I think I will be avoiding the haircut. I reckon what I'll do, I might go to, I don't know, I've got to ask the wife what she wants to do, but I think we'd probably go to I'll go to the movies. I miss the cinema. I love watching films. That's one thing I really enjoy. A big old tub of popcorn and a very dark room full of quiet individuals watching a movie. That's what I like to do. I'm going to have to think about that one intensely because basically life hasn't changed too much for me. I stay indoors quite a lot. First order at the bar, though, is going to have to be a big old crafty beer, maybe a porter or a stout, something very dark and extremely heavy. And I'm gonna enjoy that. You strawberry daiquiri nonsense, children. God damn! I know.
Like you said, Benson, just jealous.
This huge, hairy man walks into a bar and orders a very dark beer, and you guys are there with your daiquiris. Oh, hey, boys.
The Trip-Cap.
The Trip-Cap. Okay, cool. Guys, that is it. We can now do the outro, and we will see you in, I think, next week, actually. So next week's show is going to be a fun one. We're going to be talking about the build-up to the Chicago home series. Make sure to watch that one. Launch your questions at us online or at tripcap@blizzard.com. That's an email address for those of you who are wondering what was going on there. Please let us know questions. Tweet us. It's the best way to get those things out. We'll answer your questions here on the mailbag. On behalf of Ben and on behalf of Phil, wherever they are below me, thank you. We'll see you next week. Also, wash your hands, don't touch your face, and stay safe. I realize I've touched my face about 6 times this episode.
There's a light that shines bright on our shores, and that's what we stand